Now then, let's talk about Marcus Rashford. This has almost felt a little bit inevitable, hasn't it? That after the season just gone, after there has been disciplinary issues, that Belfast night out in particular felt like a real watershed moment for Marcus Rashford, and potentially with the manager as well. The rumours locally were that the player had been in touch with PSG, or PSG had been in touch with the player, or something along those lines. That was the rumours locally, and that was a very likely destination. Could just be because it's quite convenient and people like to guess, because that happens. Let's be honest with ourselves. But it also felt like a genuine possibility. Marcus and the fan base has felt further apart than it ever has done towards the end of last season. And I don't know if it's because I'm reading more into online, but it was getting some shit inside the stadium as well, which is, it's sad to see. You don't really want to see any United player getting shit inside the stadium like that. Even if I don't like players, I don't give them shit inside the stadium. I'm there to support. I want my team to win. Even if I'll be critical of their performance in analysis, that's different. But it felt like it was the end, or it was coming towards the end, if not the end yet. So when you're seeing reports like this, I think you have to take them serious. I think you have to look at the possibilities of this. If you'd have sold Marcus last summer, you probably would have got 100 million plus for him. Now, the report that's come out from The Sun, from Sky via The Sun, is saying that United wanted somewhere in the region of 80 million, but might have to accept somewhere like 60 million. Now, to me, that's ludicrous. When Everton can sit there with a straight face and say £75 million for Jared Branthwaite, United can't ask for more than that for Marcus Rashford. I mean, from a commercial point of view alone, Marcus is one of the biggest stars in the world. Like, we're getting absolutely mugged if it's 60 million. I mean, 80 million. You look at some of the players, like look at some of the academy players that are going for 30, 40, 50 million and think 60 million for Marcus Rashford. In the right team, as we've seen when he plays alongside Luke Shaw, with a fullback that's there to do stuff with him, Marcus has got the potential to be a 30, 40 goal a season striker. He's shown us that, or a forward at least, if not striker. He literally shown us that last year in a season that he wasn't fantastic. Dan Berry says 100 plus million from who? Well, that's the difference, isn't it? If you don't get your 100 million, you don't just accept 40 or 50 or 60. That's the valuation you put upon the player. That's what you want for him. I have to take these very seriously. I have to be inclined to think that these are probably accurate reports, despite the fact that from The Sun, which is, maybe a step up, maybe, from being scrawled in shit on a wall. But I worry for who you get in to replace. Now, Nico Williams has had a good season, and he's looked really good for Spain. And he's supposedly got a release clause of £53 million. Okay, is he definitely better than Marcus Rashford? I don't know if you can answer that question. I think he's in better form than him. I absolutely can tell you he's in better form than Marcus Rashford, but is he a better player than Marcus Rashford? And what if he doesn't settle? Does he speak English? Would that be a problem? What if he doesn't like the weather? All right, northern Spain, Bilbao, honestly, it's quite similar weather to Manchester, really. But it's not identical. What if that's too much for him? What if he just can't buy the diet that he's used to in Spain? What if that completely throws him out? What if his girlfriend or partner or whoever it is that he's with just can't settle? These are the massive risks that you take in bringing in any player. So if you sell Marcus for a cut price, who the hell you get in is hugely important. Hugely important. Jibak says Ten Hag's relationships are more fragile than that of the average teenager. 1 second he's dancing with them and the next he's selling them. Poor man management. Well, you might not want to Google a fella called Sir Alex Ferguson if you think that this is poor man management from Ten Hag. Ralph Rangnick told us that this squad has got no fucking discipline. Ten Hag's come and tried to instill discipline. Why has Marcus fell out with Erik Ten Hag? Now, on the surface of things, potentially over what happened in Belfast. Whose fault is that? Unless there's something else gone on that I don't know about and you lot don't know about. What has gone on? It can't be his position within the squad because he's fucking played plenty. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Dan Caesar says, Rashford needs a new challenge and we need a new shiny toy called Inaki Williams. Who pays for Starbucks? Do I pay because you're a celebrity or do you pay because you have more money? I don't go to Starbucks. I'm not a celebrity either. I like Inaki Williams. I think Nico Williams would be a better option, though. Ashwin says, the sources from the Sun, did they even know what they write, or is it usually stirring the pot when there's nothing to write about? They are known to stir the pot, but also they do occasionally have journalists that have got relationships. It does happen. Ten Hag's man management has been literally spot on, says Makiel. Previn says, I feel like this story is being over-exaggerated for clicks. It's possible. Akash says, Steve, is this topic is pointless when nobody is paying him 300k in wages? To be honest, I think Barcelona would. I think Barcelona will sign anyone on anything. I think they just pretend money that isn't real and just fucking keep it moving. Heaven Soul says, not the first time where he's praised the manager and then immediately a season later is criticising or complaining publicly. Ant says, I'd sell Rashford if we can get a good offer and sell Williams. Yeah. If we could get in a solid replacement like that, I'd be up for it. My problem is, I don't know whether that's feasible or not. Lafayette says, here we go, less than 10 minutes, and he's already mentioned Sir Alex. Next is the year 1986 on my bingo card. Well, it's relevant, is it not? Nobody fell out with more players than Sir Alex Ferguson. Bob Bates says, Morning Steve, what's my opinion on Mitchell going to Newcastle? I think it's a miss by us. Yeah, I think it probably is a bit of a miss by us, to be honest. He's a recruitment specialist. We've obviously just got Vival in. I guess that was the person that they wanted to go with. But I thought it was absolutely geared up for Mitchell to be coming, in all honesty. Daniel says, sadly, I think Barcelona days of ignoring economic reality is over. We'll see. Tyler says, make Rashford hand in a transfer request. That's the option. The problem is if a player publicly hands in a transfer request, it just took 25 million off his price. So there's a whole game. A whole game of just pretending reality is not real. The Grim Commoner says, Rashford has said one thing and acted another way. He thinks he automatically deserves a spot and his form is proof that he doesn't try or care. Replace him with someone who wants to be there. Kay says, I've seen a video of you, or maybe, can't remember who, saying we need a winger that's creative, so sell him and find a creative winger that can cross the ball and feed Højlund. I think you need a little bit of both, to be honest. Previn says, we're already supposedly selling 6+ players. I doubt we sell Marcus amid all that turnover. Jockey says, morning Steve, good morning. AJ says, Rashford should be using this summer to properly prepare and be at his best for United come the start of the season. Yeah, I mean, a summer off like this, with all that time, would have been absolutely fantastic for him, I think, wouldn't it? 70 to 75 million if we sell, says Sean. ADHD says, I wish Rashford was sold last summer. We could have had the makings of a serious squad with those funds. We'd have been even worse without him, though, this year, wouldn't you? Can you imagine? Akash says, the club have to look at themselves there for handing him that massive contract. Yeah. But I think at the time it also made sense. Like, you couldn't really see him going anywhere else. Notch says, if we don't accept a huge amount for Rashford, what does it say about our turnaround in negotiating? Well, yeah, that's another thing, is that we're trying to be better in terms of negotiations. You got to start selling higher and buying lower. Plain and simple. Ant says, I never question Rashford's love for United, but his attitude is getting more Sancho-y by the day. Lambert says, why didn't we steal Gray from Leeds? Baffles me. I don't think he's good enough, to be honest. Ogedengbe, says, sell Marcus, bring in Kvara or Nico Williams. Daniel Berry says, Ragnick isn't coming back. Brian says, a great man once said, no one is bigger than the club. First CR7, then Sancho. This is the attitude of senior players, then get rid. Don't need toxicity in the squad. No, you don't. Saeed says, to be honest, in order to truly appreciate how good Marcus Rashford was, maybe you could send Rashford to FC Barcelona, but I'd keep him. Grim Commoner says, push Diallo to the first team, and that would give a new signing a chance to ease into the position. Garnacho is better on the right and crosses more, which is good for Højlund. Lee says, we know there's been a toxic atmosphere at United, and you have to wonder, is Rashford part of that? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. With no evidence, I don't know if you could say that or not. I haven't heard anything about him being a bell in training or anything like that. I don't agree that is... I don't disagree necessarily that his body language on the pitch has been a positive thing, and body language is important. I genuinely believe that. But, yeah, I until we hear anything, I wouldn't guesstimate. Alexander says, any news on Humland? Not that I know of. Kez says, can we blame it all on Rash? His last good season, we didn't have a striker, and the horse was more of a playmaker. I think Rashford will work with Xerxes as he can play off him. Peter Knight says, Rafael Leao is giving Rashford vibes with his form, and stay away from him. B King says, people said the same thing about Rashford 2 seasons ago, and he went on to have the best season yet. Then has one bad season, everyone loses their mind. Yep. Craig says, you always use stats when analysing potential players. How much in the top percentile they are? Why don't we do that with Rashford for the last 5 years even? Well, if we have a quick look let's have a look at last season. I don't know if we can do the historical ones. Certainly not quickly. Rashford's very mid in terms of his non-penalty goals, 37th percentile, assists, 40th percentile. His best attribute is his take-ons and touches in the opposition penalty area, and actually clearances. He's pretty good on his aerials one as well. So that's the last 365 days when United and him have been pretty shit. I'm just seeing if I can get his history up while I'm on this page. Can I get that season up? Where do I get that season? I can't think how to do it while I'm on without absolutely tossing it off. Where is it? Match logs 23. See if this brings it up. No, that doesn't bring it up. Yeah, it's hard for me. I can't get the oh, there we go. So for the 22-23 season, he was in the 95th percentile for non-penalty goals. He was in the 96th percentile for non-penalty expected goals. He was in the 94th percentile for shots total. He was in the 92nd percentile for non-penalty goals and expected assists. He was miles better. He had way more touches in the penalty area as well. Was low on passes, but was pretty good, yeah. In terms of, you're talking his shots, his shooting percentage, his shots on target, shots from free kicks, absolutely flying versus other wingers. Take-ons was really good. Didn't lose a lot of challenges in defence. Yeah, it was real strong. Last season was terrible, yeah. Good call. Let's get this back up. Jace Park says the Rashford debate stinks of the chat around Giggs in the early 2000s. I remember saying out loud in 2008, Nani came on for Giggs, and I was like, that's Giggs' last ever game in a United shirt. 2008. Andrew says, can't help feel this attitude really dropped off when the likes of Lingard left. Jose called them brothers, so mentally it could have been easy for your best friend to leave and have a career spiral. I mean, didn't he also break up with his missus as well? There's all sorts of stuff going on off and on the pitch, isn't there? Manchester Maverick says, Modesty, hoping to make one or two under-the-radar young players out of nowhere into the first-team squad. Was Hernandez the last one I can genuinely think of? Well, in terms of an unknown signing, Anderson didn't really work out, did it? But, yeah, I think it's hard, isn't it, to sort of identify where that's probably going to come from. Jack says, I think the absence of an overlapping left-back had a huge influence on Rashford last season. Somebody did a graph, which is the amount of goals that Marcus scores versus the amount of games that Luke Shaw plays, and the graphs do that. Make of that what you will. I see that Cantona has just done an interview with the rest of his football. I'm going to go watch that after this. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up there. It's just a little quick Marcus Rashford update. Obviously, Paul Mitchell has moved on to Newcastle. Bit of a Ball Lake, but he is replacing Dan Ashworth there. And apparently, Donny Van De Beek is being worked on for a permanent exit this summer. He's keen for a fresh start after he's been here 4 years. Can you imagine? 4 years. Fucking world hide and seek champion. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. Cheers as always for tuning in. Give us your thoughts on the Rashford stuff. Do you think he'll stay? Do you think he'll go? And I'll catch you in the next one. Laters. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button